Okay. All right, I think it's recording now. Sorry, we've missed a few minutes in the program here, but we're talking about emotional reactivity. And I'll repeat a few things because I don't think it hurts. You know, the problem with emotional reactivity is it often gets us to agree with it. And when it has our agreement, it takes us for a ride. And there's no getting around it. We are in its grip. And so we're no longer in our true self. And that's when, you know, is in the title, it's got us to let go of me. I no longer am with myself when I'm emotionally reactive. And that doesn't mean that all emotion is reactive, because most of emotion, really profound emotion, is not reactive. It's very present. It's very reflective of who we truly are. But reactivity is when the small ego has got our energy, has got our consciousness in its grip, and takes it for a ride that's painful because it's sucking our energy and going deeper into us to take more of who we truly are into its false identity. And so it's really, you know, key to freedom is to find our way to not be sucked into it. And that doesn't mean that we should fight it or stop it. If it's happening, it's happening. And you might as well enjoy it like a movie. I mean, there are, you know, a number of ways to relate to it. Now, I talked earlier about how I was reactive earlier in our relationship with Peter, and he had done some funny thing or whatever. And I noticed when I was in the reactivity that I'd been there many times before with my first husband. And my mother had been there with my father. And the common denominator was not Peter. It was something in me. It was a pattern. And I think there are, you know, a lot of patterns in us like that we inherit, that we agree with early in life for some reason, and they hook on. And when something happens outside of us that triggers that pattern, it gets us to agree, takes us for the ride, and there we are. What happened? We're gone. We've lost our presence. We've lost our center. We've lost who we truly are. We're behaving in a different way. And when that happens, there are several ways to work with who we truly are in our consciousness to not get lost in the reactivity. And I mentioned too a client I had at the agency who was had an illness, a sort of personality disorder, where she would, you know, dress in a provocative way, walk down the streets of Portland. People would notice, and then she would yell at them for noticing who she, you know, giving her looks and stuff. And I was kind of reminded of that a little last night during the debate. But the thing about that, you know, that I learned from this woman when I worked with her, I learned how to become really present in a way, and how effective it was to be really present. I mean, the way the dynamic was set up at the agency, there was a protocol that she had to kind of obey in order to stay in the program she was in and keep seeing me. And one of the things is she had to regularly come to classes. And when she blew off whatever the limit was, I think it was 2 classes, I was told by my supervisor and my team workers that I had to tell her she couldn't come and see me anymore. And I was basically the only human being in the world that she did see. So I was very nervous about having to tell her this because she could be so reactive and so mean and scream and yell and, and I had a very small office in the basement too. I mean, I was like, whoa. So I promised myself that from the moment I met her in the waiting room until I took her back there, I would not breathe once without being aware of it. And it was an amazing session. Because when I told her she couldn't see me anymore, she started to react and then she stopped. I just feel like it was just like the reactivity is contagious, presence is also contagious. To be totally present to what is actually real without adopting a belief, without agreeing with a story, with a concept, but just being in reality in this moment is so powerful and such a key. Because as we are there, life is very different from that place. It just is very different. You're present, and there, it doesn't mean that that's just a rigid thing. There are a number of things from that place of presence. I mean, from that place of presence, you can hold off the reactivity from the place of will. You can, in a sense, oppose it with firmness. But that takes energy. I was watching one of the candidates last night do that. It takes energy. You have to really, it's like a warrior stance. But there's another way from presence too, of being kind of invisible, where you just kind of sidestep it, you watch it, you're present to it, but you're kind of invisible. You're there, but you're not. Your presence is one of simply it's light. It's like you're not taking it seriously, but you're aware. You're just in the background. That's another way of working with the reactivity. Another way is to transform it, where you take the belief something's wrong. There's always something wrong in the reactivity, right? You take the belief and you kind of spin it in a positive way. It's saying this. It's like, okay, how about this? And you spin it, you transform it, you take it another place.
Nancy?
In order to do that, it's really good to have done some real background, some fundamental work in the sense of, why are you here? What is really important to you? What is the purposefulness of your life that you want to impact your environment, your community, your loved ones with in this lifetime? The more clarity you have around that, the more inquiry you've done into that, the easier it is to do this kind of redirecting transformation of the reactivity when it comes from those reactive patterns in us or around us.
Volume is not very good. I put it on here, but you hear it?
Nope. I'm thinking, I don't know how many of you watched last night, but I'm thinking, that one of the candidates did something like that, but it was also, it had a quip to it where part of her her shift was actually to send that reactivity back to the other candidate. Because she was actually, part of her objective, I think, was to, which wasn't difficult, I didn't think. So it can be very positive. It can just take a negative energy and give it a completely positive spin. And that's a really uplifting kind of energy that takes you out of that reactivity pretty quickly. And a fourth way of working with that reactivity is what I would call presence on steroids. It's where your presence is so riveting. It's just so present to that whole gestalt that I talked about earlier. All the levels that reactivity has, the belief, the emotion, the energy, the sensation in the body, the whole beingness of it. When you're fully present to all of that, but not agreeing with it, just present, witnessing, but fully, intently witnessing without any wavering, just solidly present witnessing, not trying to change it, not trying to maneuver it, just present, completely there. When that's going on, you'll see it's dissolve slowly. That kind of presence can really dissolve and resolve it. So, that's sort of a fourth way of looking at it, fourth way of interacting with it that brings a freedom. All of these ways come from consciousness, come from the consciousness of who you truly are. And in that way, that's where the power comes from. The power comes from fully being aware and conscious of our own beingness. That beingness that is so incredible. It's energetic. It's the body. The body is so amazing. I mean, I was reading a bit of Valerie Hunt the other night, and her discoveries, early, I think it's back in the 60s and 70s, she was doing her research. And, the fact that in a living body, there are the same kind of atoms in any other substance, but in that living body, the electrons in those atoms behave in a very different way. And that's pretty astounding because, what is making that happen? I suspect what's making that happen is consciousness. So it is that deep, intimate, and interpenetrating of beingness in the physical being of who we are. That consciousness comes into a body, and it's a miraculous reality. And that's a power that is amazing. And that power, when we really live in it fully, it's undescribable. And when we bring that to this little reactive pattern, it's going to evaporate because it doesn't have that power in and of itself that our beingness has. That amazing power that our beingness has is godlike. It's universal. It's at the core of what really matters, what is really real. So, you know, the opportunity to learn the skill of this kind of presence that emotional reactivity gives us is quite a gift, actually. And I watched my little granddaughter, who's 2 years old, and it's amazing to watch her learn things. You know, she doesn't learn things through thinking. She learns things through presence. And it's amazing to really witness it happen. It's so powerful. As Peter says, she doesn't miss a trick, and she doesn't. And we have that power. And, you know, the tricks of life, and one of them is emotional reactivity, give us such an opportunity to really become present and to experience the power of that presence in our life. So, yeah, so I'm gonna open it up to you guys pretty quick here. I just want to look at my notes and see what I forgot. Oh yeah, this is another thing I wanted to mention. Yeah, I've really appreciated all of you who have participated in my experience with this, you know, video class. It's really been fun, and you know, we have one more free one this fall in November, the 17th. But I'm hoping to, I'm going to offer to do an 8-week weekly series starting January 9th on Monday nights. Similar format, but weekly. And now that I have learned a few tricks, made a lot of mistakes, and hopefully continuing to learn this whole technology. And the title of the class is Living Your Life from the Power of Your Love. And it'll be 8 weeks, and the price is $30 a class times 8 is $240 for the 8 weeks. But if people register and pay before the next free class, I'm offering it for $200 for the 8 classes. And that would include the recordings. Hopefully I remember to record from the top down. And so that if you miss a class, you don't miss out. And during the 8 weeks, if anyone chooses to amplify the process by an individual session with me, instead of the usual $90, the session would be $75. So I'm going to post this on my website soon and send out an e-zine. But at this point, the curriculum for the 8 weeks, the first week is questions and answers that create our life experience. Who am I? What is source? Why am I here? What is my purpose? What is my path of heart? Where am I going? That's the first week. Week 2, we'll focus more on what is reality? What is source? And week 3 is dismantling the ego's beliefs. And week 4, why am I here? What is my purpose? Week 5, learning the most powerful way through entrainment. Week 6, what is my path of heart? What is my intention for this lifetime? Week 7, communion, deep soul-to-soul bonding. Week 8, where am I going? Putting it all together. So that's my proposal for starting out the new year. I think it could be really fun. So I encourage people to join in, take advantage of the discount by signing up before the next free video class, which is November 17th. And yeah, so I'm going to open it up for questions and suggestions. And I think in the beginning we talked about also you could bring stories. Anyone has a story about reactivity in themselves or someone else, or anything you'd like to share with each other, that would be great. Let me see how to unmute you all. I can unmute you. You need to, some of you may need to unmute yourself. Anyway, there, I think we're all unmuted. I'd love to hear from all of you. Anything that you may have thought of, or if this a question this may have raised for you. Sherm, you're still muted too. Can you unmute? Don't be hesitant. Speak up. Oh, this is such a serious topic. All right. Ellen, you got to unmute yourself. Good job. But I can't hear you. I think the place where you unmute should be in the lower left bottom. I think you are unmuted, but I can't hear you. This is such a learning adventure.
Yes, it is.
I don't know if you're muted, but I can't hear you. Sherm, do you have your cat with you?
I've got both cats with me. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you either. What's going on here? You're unmuted and I still can't hear you. You're still muted. Let's figure out on the phone.
What is all that noise?
I don't know.
Perfect.
In the background.
No. So are you guys hearing a noise?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Is that why you muted, sir? Well, that's crazy.
It sounds like a UFO. Seriously.
The noise came up when Ellen came online. Can Ellen mute herself? Okay, I'm gonna mute myself now. It sounds like she's getting. It might not be, the noise might not be in the room that she's sitting in, but it might be the circuit that she's on that's causing the noise.
Say that again, sir.
So the telephone circuit that each individual client is on, that circuit may be noisy. And so it doesn't have anything to do with her equipment or the room that she's in. It's what it sounded like is like she had a radio on in the background or a television going on in the background. But it may also be that the telephone circuit that she's using is of, you know, not the best quality.
Huh. Are you still hearing it?
No, well, somebody just came on. Yeah, who is that? Heidi. Yeah, Heidi just turned her mic off though, but then it went away. So when each person turns on their mic, you can hear the quality of the line. So if you just turned on the mics one at a time, then you can see who's the noisy one. But don't personalize it when I say you're the noisy one. It's just the circuit that you're on when you make the call, you know, when you go online.
Yeah, but I had did the sound just happen when I unmuted people? Oh, okay. That makes sense. All right. So,
Where did this end up?
It was like going on.
is it stopped now? Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's somebody's computer. So I would still like you each to unmute one at a time and have something to say. So do you know how to unmute? There's a little microphone in the lower left-hand corner, and you just hit that and you can unmute and say what you need to say, or what you would say, what you would gift us with. Heidi, are you still there? Or did we lose her? You're there. There you are.
I'm here.
Woohoo! So, yeah, so it's been, I'm just curious, you know, I've been talking for a half hour now and making noise and doing different things, and wasn't hearing you guys when you did, because I realized like I need to turn my mic up. But so, did anything I said make any sense to anybody? All right, so let me hear what kind of sense it made to you. Yeah, you, Sharon. You can unmute yourself. Show us your cat.
Okay. Okay. I'll show you my cat. She sees all this attention that might. So the thing that I came up with was the electrons in our body, how the emotional state that we're in, how it affects our bot, the molecular structure of our body, and makes us sick or not sick, and it reminds me of the lesson that we got from the water, how the water, when it freezes, how the crystals that it creates, depending on how the emotions are around the water at the time that it freezes, and so I had a revelation about that when you spoke about the electrons in the body, how they're affected by our emotions.
Isn't that amazing? That's
Yeah.
really amazing. Yeah, I don't know if you all are aware of what Sherm's particularly we're referring to. It's the work of the Japanese man, Emoto, I think his name was, where he took water and would photograph the crystals of the water. I mean, just incredible. I mean, there was one I remember particularly where, you know, I think they said, "I hate you" or something to the water, and they took a picture of the water and it showed a man with a gun, literally, in that crystal. I mean, it's just astounding, those work that man did. Yeah, it's such an example of how consciousness is everywhere, everything. And we are all connected up that way. So then whatever experience any one of us is having, our participation in that experience goes out into the universe. I mean, it has an impact. And depending on the frequency of that experience, the more impact there is. I mean, I know it was amazing for me to watch presidential debates in how painful it was, to experience the pain of a person who, I'm not even sure if he's aware of how painful his own experience is. Or, if he is, he's projecting the cause of that somewhere else instead of on his own participation into it. But that's the power we each have, is, what we choose to participate in terms of our agreement with, contributing our amplification to it, instead of that cat has got it right. I mean, it's just amazing. So right there, the participation of that cat in its bonding with Sherm, it's like impacting the whole universe, impacting every one of us right now. That's amazing. That's just like, and trees do that, and each one of us can do that. And is that what we want to really empower our life from? That's really what I would like in this class coming up, this 8-week class I talked about, to really, as a group, focus into how our life can be totally coming from and moving into, amplifying that out into the world. Because it lives inside of each one of us. So thank you for that, Sherm. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, well, there is just one more thought that I also had was about being. My problem is when I'm around somebody that is trying to engage me emotionally, and in a negative way, not in a positive way, but in a negative way. They're trying to bring me into a conflict that they're wrestling with themselves, and they're looking for a comrade in arms, so to speak, with that emotional discourse that they're experiencing. It's really hard for me not to engage in that, and the way that I'm able to prevent myself from doing it is when I catch myself doing it, I have to listen to my breath, and by listening to my breath and listening to my heartbeat, I'm able to calm myself, so that way I don't let them engage me. But my problem, I'm so what's that called? Like, I carry my emotions on my cuff, and so people can hear, they can see when I'm not listening to them, even though I'm looking at them. They can see that, I'm giving them feedback that's making them feel like he's not agreeing with me, or he's not engaging in what I'm talking about. And so it's really, really difficult to listen to somebody compassionately, even though you don't want to get you don't want to get hooked up into their drama. That's really tough.
Yeah, because it's very contagious. It's so contagious. I think one of, I love what you said, because it's so true. If you just, like the example I gave, with that woman, I was not going to breathe once without being aware of it, right? And it's it's a good way to do it, you know, and if you can smile at the same time, it can be helpful. And because, you know, being aware and present in that way, it does diffuse the reactivity. And even more, you know, if you can drop, because you have the right word, Sherm, compassion, if you can drop into a place of compassion, it's like you're sending energy, that presence out, and that can really impact the person so that they will find it hard to hang on to their own reactivity. I'm not saying any of this is easy. It takes a lot of kind of focus on what is really, you know, I mean, there's two things here. In the moment, you know, being very present in that moment. And like you're saying, you know, being aware of your breath, being aware of your heartbeat, that is like a foundation of presence. But in preparation for that, the more time you can spend in the silence, in the dynamic silence. Because one of the things is thinking. I mean, reactivity loves thinking. I mean, I've noticed like this debate, you know, it gets you think, you know, you want to think about it, right? And that just sucks it more in that place. You know, so, you know, having a time when you just, you know, go deep into those electrons of the body and out from there, you know, kind of like, you know, one of the things I do in the morning is I make a practice of, Peter, can you mute yourself?
I think I am.
No, you're not.
Oh, wait a minute.
It's on the lower left, that microphone. There you go. Got it. Yeah, in the morning, before I even get out of bed, I know I might go pee, but, you know, I return, I lay down, and I do this very slow scan, starting with my toes, very slowly through my whole body. And anywhere there's tension, I just kind of let it go, let it drop down and out and away. And just, you know, there's no thought, there's just presence. And as I scan the body, I usually come to a place where I can actually expand the energy of the body out so that it's in touch with something much more than me. And that's one of the practices whereby I ground in what is really real and important to me. It's an experience, you know, what I often, it's not the same every day, but often it's an incredible experience of definitely no mind, but beyond no mind, of really dynamic love. And in that kind of silence, you know, there's a nourishing of who I am and what's important to me and what I want this life to be about. And that is like a foundation that then, when the reactivity is happening, I have somewhere to do that pivot from, you know, where I want to go to and come from towards that person. You know, so that the compassion is actually, it's bigger than me. It's a universal compassion that I have a connection with that I can then let out towards that person. And it's energetic, you know, it's not a thought or a belief. It's an energetic kind of transmission. And that transmission, you know, it's powerful. And, you know, And because that's coming out, it doesn't allow the negativity in so much. So, anyone else have an experience to share or a question or I think we lost Nancy. There you are, Heidi.
Yeah, I could say something. I mean, I really wish I had been on. I wish I had been on the call earlier. Unfortunately, it's just been like one of those times. But I'm putting my phone on, turning it off so it doesn't go off when I'm in the middle of talking. Yeah, with Sherman, I definitely relate with what he said about other people. I think that sometimes, people, they're deficient or they have kind of like a negative emotional charge that they're not aware of. And I find when I interact with people sometimes, like for example, when I went to the doctor a couple weeks ago, I find that my energy like spins, not when I'm there, but I get back in my car and I almost feel kind of like my energy has like kind of spun up and out a little bit. And for me, one of the things I've been learning to do is to kind of come back home to myself, which I think when he was talking about watching his breath or the techniques you were describing, Mariana, it's just kind of like, how can I kind of recenter and gather up my energies again? But I mean, I struggle with the same thing. And I think, so I'd love to hear what you say.
You muted yourself.
It muted on its own. I've been struggling with it. It's funny. I think it's time I'd like to hear your response, Mariana. I mean, I've been having it happen over and over and over and over and over. Like every interaction I talk with people, it's bizarro. Basically what's happening is that they're not doing what they tell me to do. So like words come out of their mouth, but it's not in alignment with like what's supposed to happen. And my words, I hear what they're saying, but it doesn't make any sense. And I don't really know how to respond. And to respond to them is just to get caught in a bunch of thinky kind of drama. So yeah, I'm struggling with it. I don't know what emotional reactivity looks like, but just, people in their confused, thinky mind place, it's just like a rabbit hole.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is. And yeah, it's contagious. It's very, very contagious. And that's why, I think that, as you were talking, I couldn't help but think about Dave. I've seen people be extremely reactive with him and, just like attack him basically. And I've seen him go like, wow, that's strong. Just like, just, wow. Just so centered, so centered. And I think, that's really the key is, to have it be a very high and clear intention inside of us to give ourselves as much time in the day to just not think. Just go where there is no thought and spend real time there. And it's hard because, everything around us is saying, think this, think this, think. It's like, oh, give me a break. So it takes real intention to just, no, I am going to hang with the tree. The tree doesn't think. Thank you very much. It sends me good energy. I'm going to hang in my body and not go into dance. And, to really devote time. What?
I was just going to say, the thing is to me, when I hear you talk about it, it's almost as like, to me, it's like this concept of practicing like not thinking. But the thing is, it's like, to me, it's hard to describe it, because when I'm there, it's almost like a different state of being. It's just like I'm in a very calm, peaceful, happy place. I live right overlooking the ocean, and there's just this something happens between me and the ocean, like a humming, and I'm there, and it's pure and it's good, and I exchange it with my partner. And then when I interact in the world, that is not there. It's just noisy, like you describe it. So, but it's hard to describe the experience. That's all. Because it's not a concept. Like, it's not just that I don't think, and I personally have yet to really figured out the difference between like that calm place and then what we were, I guess, emotional reactivity. That's the talk tonight. But I think it's good to try and quantify it however we do with words.
Yeah, well, I think, the thing is, that's what you're talking about. Hi, Josh. To bring that, that experience into the moment with the person reactive, that's important. That's where the key, in a sense, where the rubber meets the road, is like to bring that experience there. And I was talking earlier about sort of the 4 ways to do that. One is, to, what the heck was it? I can't think of the first one, but, there's, to be present, to be invisible, to let it just slide kind of past you and just, oh, there it is. Okay. Whether it's inside of you because the other person has trying to activated you, slide it by, or to like take it to the higher ground, like, oh, okay, that's where it is, and I'll take it here, like I'm gonna, give that experience back on a higher level from the depth inside of me, or to just riveting with full awareness of the whole gestalt of it. Because it's really not that big. It seems that big. Oh my God, it's not that big. It's not as big as the amazing experience of consciousness that can hold the whole of it. And that is, it's that is what the world is asking for. It's asking for those of us who can to come from love. Yeah, I remember this one time, I'm going over here, but we're going to go over a little while, and not as much as last time. But I remember, I was co-training, doing this breath training, and being observed by my teacher who had come to observe. And she was in a relationship with that guy who was an alcoholic. And he was going to show up, and we didn't want him in there because he was unpredictable. And we were trying to run this training with teaching people about breath. And so, we knew he was coming, and we had to not let him in. And so I got the job of greeting him. His name was Peter, not the same Peters in my life now. But I remember, I made a clear intention that I was going to kind of shower this person with love. And so, and there was backup. I mean, there was somebody ready to call the police if we needed to not let him in forcibly, But it was so amazing how effective it was when I went out and I just said, Peter, I love you, but you can't come. We'll be done at 5, come back then and get Judy, but you're not invited in here. And because I really had his best intention fully in my heart, people were kind of amazed because he just turned around and walked away. And people had seen him in other states, It's powerful to really come from love. The love of yourself, the love of that person. It's powerful. but it has to be real. It can't be a manipulation or pretense. It has to be extremely real. And for it to be that real, you need to have found it inside of yourself. It's not an idea, as Heidi made a good point. It's not a thought form. It's a deep core, you might say it's a value, but it's a value that has dimensionality, multidimensionality. So, yeah. I really appreciate your questions. I really appreciate you coming tonight. I really appreciate you being here. And I love each one of you. Hey, Ellen, unmute and say something. There's Josh and Heidi. Love you guys. Hey, Ellen. Selena, we haven't heard from you.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, I'm laughing, and I was listening to Sherman. I was laughing to myself, and I'm thinking about all the people he's, like he says, they drag you into their drama. And it was funny because my niece called me tonight to wish my husband and I a happy anniversary. It's been 26 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Anyway, so I'm laughing because she's talking to me on the phone, and we have a very, very good relationship. But I don't have a good relationship with her mother, who's my sister. And we were talking about the different things, and and my niece is spiritual, and we talked about it. I said, do you know what? I says, I try and try. And she says, Auntie, stop worrying about it. She says, because literally my mother can piss off a saint. And I just cracked up laughing so hard because I swear to God, it's the truth. She's the only person that you could talk to, and within 2 minutes, you are a screaming maniac because I don't know what it is that she does, but within 2 minutes, no matter who talks to her, she's got them screaming. It's horrible, so.
Well, God bless her.
Somebody has to.
Yeah.
Maybe she's here to teach us all a lesson. Who knows? But I'll get there someday. Right now, I'm not. I'm still, she's the only one person I cannot talk to. And I have friends who tick me off occasionally, but nothing like this. Believe me, nothing like this. She gets on every single nerve. And I'm studying anatomy and physiology, and I can tell you, she's on every nerve.
Wow, what a master. Woo! Lynn, look at you. Glad to have you join us. Even though it's we're about to close out here. Are you in a different time zone? Can you hear me, Lynn? Why don't you unmute yourself? Down on the lower left, there's on the bottom, on the lower left, there's a little microphone. If you click that, you'll unmute. Nope. There you go.
I'm a little bit late. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can.
I was saying I'm a little bit late and I apologize.
Well, we're glad to have you, but we're about to say good night here. Are you in a different time zone?
No, I'm in Florida.
Okay. Well,
I'm in a different time zone in my head. You know what I mean? I actually forgot. I don't know how I could have forgotten, but.
Well, we're glad to have you here. And we have recorded most of it. I think I'm going to stop the recording now.